Okay, y'all, so we're on to the next rapid fire styling scene. And for this scene, we're gonna be focusing on something very simple, heart-shaped sunglasses. And we're gonna be doing it on this funky pattern. So this is actually a planner, like a weekly planner. I really like the neutral colors, and so I want to play on this nice checkerboard surface. So we're going to do a heavily cropped in image of possibly just this and the sunglasses, but I also have this pink surface that we're going to be shooting on as well. So I may do a super cropped in shot of just the sunglasses on the checkered neutral colored backdrop, but I also may get another shot of the sunglasses framed within the checkerboard surface as well as surrounded by the pink. I think both will be very cute for a nice subtle simple Valentine's Day concept. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, this is the first rapid fire shot that we got earlier on. I really love the outcome of that, and so I'm really excited for this new styled scene. So this one is going to be fairly simple. Again, we're sticking with the one light setup. Now typically if you're doing multiple flat lays, depending on your style, you don't have to move the lights. It could be just a step and repeat, meaning basically your lighting and your camera stay stationary and you place things in and out of the camera and take your snapshots just so that everything looks seamless. You can typically do this for e-commerce images, which is your product on a white or solid colored backdrop, or for a gallery of images that are all kind of cohesive for either your portfolio or for a client gallery. So I really like this checkerboard pattern. I'm thinking that I may use the back of this since there's no writing on it, and then I kind of want to place the sunglasses right in the middle. Now the thing about sunglasses is they always kind of lean further on one side than the other. So again, I use my tacky tape pretty much all the time to kind of balance out the difference in leaning, like the shift in leaning. So I'll place that on one side so that everything is kind of floating naturally so it doesn't look weird. So I'm just find the right balance, and then we can get a nice test shot going. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm gonna make sure everything's centered. So again, like I said, in Capture One, I can use the live view. So again, we're tethered here, and then we're battery tethered here. And so we're just gonna click the live view button to find the product. And so we have that on screen right now. So let me go ahead and line that up with the camera. I like to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. Okay. And then we're gonna place that there. Everything looks a little bit crooked based on the camera view, but that's not really gonna matter. Let me put this a long way just so that we don't run out of surface. There we go. So I may keep the crop for this square just to keep it neat and clean, but we'll see what happens when I do a test shot so we can see what it looks like. Let me turn that. Okay, so let's do a quick test shot. Let me zoom in to make sure that we're in focus. Let's do a test shot. Oh, I think the trigger fell asleep. So let's do a test. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's do one more. We're gonna have to change the crop because it's not showing up all the way. So let me go ahead and make that change. Let's do it to a square. Okay, let's get that even surface. Okay, so as we can see, it is not straight. So with Capture One, you can use the grid to make sure that everything's all lined up. So let me just tweak it. I don't know if you can use it within live view. Well, you might be able to. Let me check. Haha, you can. So I'm learning as you're learning, guys, because I've never really had to use the grid. And so let's try it out again. Okay, perfect. So it's not centered. So instead of me moving this, I'm just gonna move my crop over just a bit. And so as of right now, where the light is hitting is still coming from the right side to the left. And so all of my shadows are extruding this way. I like it. What I think I may do is place this whole entire calendar planner on maybe another surface just to lift it above the surface so that the shadow is deeper, and also there's more of a separation just to make the image look a little bit more three-dimensional, because it's looking a little flat right now. And I'm not a fan of looking flat on camera. So I'm gonna grab one of my acrylic cubes and then we'll do another test shot. Okay, so I've mentioned this many times, but if you're looking to know where I do grab these, check out my gear list, is listed below. There are a ton of my tools there for you to view and possibly purchase and test out yourself. So let me go back to live view to make sure, yeah, I messed that all up. Let me put that back on track. Line up that. Let me also turn the sunglasses a little, just a little bit. Okay, let's do a test shot. Yeah, I really am liking the separation. Let's move this more centered because I did move it. Okay, let's move this up some. And as of right now, it's a little bit too overexposed, so I'm gonna change that. I just wanna make sure that the lighting, as far as where the shadows are and how the product is being hit with the light, is what I want, and it is. Now at the bottom here, I'm seeing a lot more shadow extrusion coming down, and the side not as much, so I may move the light further away just to stretch it out a little bit more. I'm liking the curvature of the shadow coming from the sunglasses, so we'll see how that pans out. Now when you want to play with shadows when styling and using strobe or continuous light, the trick is to know where your light is. The closer the light is to your product, the shorter the shadows are, meaning the shadows are going to retreat underneath your product. The further away the light is, away from your product and props, the longer the shadow is going to stretch out. So it works backwards like that. So definitely keep that in mind when you want to experiment more with your portfolio or when you're just testing out photographing different items. So let's move this light back some. And let's see what that does to our shadows. Okay, yes, I'm liking that a lot more. It's still not looking straight to me for some reason. It's really throwing me off, and that's because it's not straight all the way. This is how things can get very tedious when working with a lot of grid lines. Again, I mentioned in the last rapid fire styling, I'm more of an organic shape kind of girl. I don't really do a lot of geometric shapes. And I think it's because it aggravates my perfectionism. Because the minute I see something off, I'm like, no, that's not straight, that's not straight. Oh my God, and I'd spend too long trying to make sure that everything's perfect. So I think that's what's really throwing me off, because I don't tend to work with a lot of geometric shapes. Now, I do like the look of this, but I'm not a fan of this huge block right above the sunglasses. Let me see. Let me turn it around. Yeah, I think I may shoot it on the other side, and I may just have to Photoshop the wording out, because the spacing of these shapes, I think I like a lot better on the front versus the back. Let me put some more cubes underneath. There we go. Make sure that's nice and even. Let me do another test shot because I moved a lot of things around. So I think we have the shot already. Let me just play around with the exposure. Right now we're shooting at f/18. My shutter speed is at 1/200, and then my ISO is at 400. Now my light may be a little bit too hot. I'm at 7.9 right now, and I could come down just a little bit. But instead, I might just bring the ISO down to 320 just to see what that looks like first. Okay, I think that brought me back to life a little bit. So let me add the bounce cards and then see what that looks like. And after that, we have the shot, and then we're gonna move on to the next rapid fire styling scene. Okay, so we're gonna come a little bit closer this time. I'm using my water bottle to hold up the board. I'm gonna grab one more and pop it right at the bottom of this just to make our fake box yet again. Now, because I moved the light further away, I may be blocking the light. So we'll see what happens if that's the case. Sometimes when you use your bounce cards, sometimes when they interact with the light, it can create a nice solid strip of shadow across your product. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. It just depends on what you like artistically. But that's a nice way to kind of block out some of the light to add a little bit more character to your flat lays. Let's do a test shot. Okay, I like that a lot. We have it here. I think we need one more bounce card here, which means I'm gonna block your view a little bit because everything else is completely lit except for this side here. It's a little bit dark, slightly dark. People, people outside of photography may not notice it, but I do. So in order to get this side evenly lit, I'm gonna add one more card here to close out this box, and then we'll have the final shot. We just squeeze this right in front of you. Block your view for just a quick moment. And yes, and we have the final shot. I'm gonna pop that up right now so you can see it. Everything is evenly lit all the way around. And again, we're gonna Photoshop out the words. So the image that you're looking at right now should not have the words on it. I'm saying that to remind myself to edit it out, just in case I forget. But I really like the look and feel of this. I'll also pop up a cropped version of this shot without the pink so that you can see both versions. Now, again, this is a quick, cute Valentine's Day themed shoot, and I really like the way it turned out. This is something that you can pick up and do anywhere. You can grab sunglasses like these from your local party store, or let's say your local Walmart or something like that. Anything with a shape. You can play around with photoshopping that product and then adding it on top of something with a pattern, just to kind of play around and experiment with your styling technique as well as your shooting. So now that we're done with this quick rapid fire style session, we're gonna go to the next one.